I think we're just gonna go ahead. Okay, cool. So do you guys have any questions for us before we start, just in general? Any general questions? It can be specific, I mean. That's fine too. Oh, yeah.
How should a young person, a young man, remain pure or fulfill the purpose for which he was destined for?
What was the question?
How should a young man remain pure or fulfill the purpose for which he was born?
Okay.
So, what I would say, like how a young man is supposed to stay focused, right, is stay on your career goal. Like once you've already decided on what you want to do in the future, try to stay on that path. Avoid any type of distractions that are gonna take you off that path. You know, keep your path in the Lord. He'll guide you in what you want to do. If you wanted to do something and the Lord that was your plan for you, He's gonna get you there as long as you don't stray from Him. So just keep your faith in the Lord. Do what you have to do and just keep your focus, and you will get there pure without doing any sort of mistakes that the Lord hadn't intended for you.
As well as, just surrounding yourself with
Also, I forgot to say, but we're going to try to keep it to like 3 minutes per person so we can go through everything.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would say as well, just surrounding yourself with a community of God-driven people. It's very important for who you surround yourself with, I feel like, and who you surround yourself with, who your friends are with, and you're being around with most of the time, really indicates or shows your identity. So I would say that is also a factor of how you remain pure.
Any other questions? Please. Oh.
So youth day, what keeps you awake at night?
That's a great question.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Can you please elaborate on that question?
What I'm saying is that you are young, and you have parents, and you have church, you have school, and you have your future, your life in future. What worries you so that your parents can be able to help you achieve it?
Alright, so as you can see up in this panel, I happen to be the only one here still in high school, no? It's all grown adults. My greatest worry will be bills, because I know next year I'm out of that house, and who's gonna pay for me? Me! I gotta worry about a job, I gotta worry about a car note if I have one, studies, all this has to go on at once, and nobody can, my parents are gonna be there to guide me, they're gonna cover something, but first time getting out the house, first time living by myself, it's kind of like a really jolting experience, you gotta jump right into it, there's no easing into it, there's no tutorial, there's no how you do this, how you do that, so you just gotta get into it, get yourself a grip, have your parents guide you, and it's still voice in the back of your head, you be like, if I don't do something right, Lord knows I might end up homeless. They may have other thoughts, so I'll let them continue on. But for me personally, we'll be getting out of the house.
Okay, but how because we're sitting back here as parents, how do we get into your lives instead of getting you offended?
I think that's a very excellent question. I feel like it would have to start from childhood going up forward, because some kids, I've heard that, when they're little, their parents tell them, I'm not your friend or passing your age, and then that separation is there instilled at a young age. So then, when you try to, I guess, learn more about them at an early, an older age, I don't really feel like talking to you because, there's that distance that was created at a young age. But there can come reconciliation and forgiveness that can help grow that relationship as well. But yeah, I think that's, yeah. I don't even know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I was gonna say the same thing already.
Alright, I'll go next then. I think that honestly what they've been saying makes a lot of sense, but also if you do want to have that relationship, I think that it should come from a place of openness, I would say, as far as if you want us to be more open, and then when we start being more open, you guys get mad at us, like we're not going to be open anymore. I understand the aspect as of if we're doing something wrong, but like if I'm trying to if I'm trying to be more honest with my parent and more open with them, so I start telling them more things, and then they start getting mad because like maybe I've done something in the past, or like I'm trying to fix a habit that I have, and they're like, well, why are you doing that? Like you shouldn't be doing that. Odds are we already know that it's wrong, and we're trying to get better, and we're trying to get better by ourselves because we're afraid that if we talk to our parents, they're just gonna, scold us, or say that we're a failure, or say that we're dumb. So I would say that in the aspect of not condoning the behavior, but being open to hearing like our reasonings for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a biblical character you identify with in the Bible, and why?
Take that question. I already asked.
Is there a biblical
I need some time to think about that.
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it changes depending on the season. That's a good question. Like we go through seasons of life.
Actual season.
Yeah, I know that.
I would say recently, something I read that really stood out to me was, I believe it's in the book of Numbers with Moses and Aaron, because we talk a lot more about Exodus and like how they were escaping Egypt, but there was a part where the people of Israel, I'm not gonna lie, every time I turn around they start saying it again, I'm like, okay, I mean that's just how it is. But at a certain point, God told Moses and Aaron, like, okay, you're gonna prove my goodness again, like prove my power. So if you hit a rock, like tell them that the Lord is putting water into this rock. But Aaron said that it was him who was gonna hit the rock and bring water out of it. And then he died because he was taking credit for himself. So I would say that something that stood out to me is like, they lived their whole lives, if not like actively being in God's presence, being led by him, trying like desperately to grow closer to him, and then still they were tempted to like take the glory for themselves. So I think it just goes to show that like, for me personally, sometimes I feel like a little too comfortable. I'm like, okay, I'm reading my Bible, I'm being consistent, I'm going to church, but am I putting more faith in myself or in my own faith than in God? I'm sorry, that was a little wordy.
You're good.
Well, I would say, for a biblical character, she put it perfectly. But personally for me, I would say right now, it'd probably be like job, just because like a string of bad events has just been happening, but I know I have to have faith and courage in God that everything will be right at the end. But overall in my life, I want to really strive to be like Jesus. I feel like we all should strive to be like Jesus and Christ, like, as a Christian, and yeah.
And I'm sure you wouldn't like to be identified with Jacob. Would you?
I mean, why specifically should we not want to?
He was a conniver, a liar. He went through a lot before meeting God.
That makes sense.
Wait,
You need to say it.
Okay.
Praise God, church.
Amen.
Yeah, I just thank God for today, for the youth service. It's really an interactive session, and it's a blessing to us. And my question is, as a young generation, what would you like us as parents to do differently so that we can guide you to the ways of the Lord? Because I believe as parents, we are the only ones who has the best interest of you guys into our hearts. Because the young generation complains so much about parents don't understand them. So I really don't know in which way you guys want us to do this. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of our guidance and relationships. Yes.
I mean, I can't really, okay, I mean, I can generally speak, but I would say one thing that would, I guess, I don't know if it's advice, but I would say when, like, there's a lot. So I'm breaking my thoughts. But like, I would say if a child, for one, if like a child is like you're disciplining a child, discipline, yeah, that's good. But I think one thing that you should also include is explaining to the child like why that thing is wrong, instead of like bashing them or beating them, because they're not really learning anything from that experience. They just but yeah, they're not learning anything from you disciplining them if there's no reason behind why this is wrong and why that you shouldn't do this. That in itself is good. I think another thing would be like when a child is talking to you or like expressing their feelings or emotions on like a certain thing that you address to them or that they address to you, it's not really like when a child like talks back, there's a difference between talking back and just engaging in like a healthy conversation to understand the child's point of view and your point of view. So I would say if you would like create a space where healthy conversations can happen. So like you would have to put your ego or pride aside and say like, you know, this is like, yeah, that is your child, but they're not trying to question your authority or who you are to them. What else?
Wait, Summer, do you want to say something? She hasn't talked yet.
For me, I would say I was pretty privileged enough to have parents that do understand that. But one thing I would say that my parents have done well, at least my mother, if she's not able to, have like those healthy conversations with me, I do have like other support systems where I can, like lean on. So I know it's hard for parents to like sit down and talk about certain things with your kids. Like when Gigi asks me about certain things, I'm like, no, go ask mom, because I'm not explaining that. But if you're not able to do that, you could direct them to like a Bible verse if you feel comfortable to do that, or joy, or have someone else to do it, because it's hard for us to come and like he was saying earlier, when your parents tell you like, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. So it's gonna be hard for us to like open up to you in a friend type of way if you've already established that we are not friends and you're my parent. So there's that boundary. So if you're not able to break that down, just lead them to someone else.
Okay, we're gonna close the panel now because we know y'all gotta get out of here. One more? Okay.
One more question. Okay. Who has questions? Interesting questions. Interesting to start conversation. Yeah, I know. Is she got a question?
Her question is interesting. You're not gonna learn that.
No, she won't answer. We won't ask the question.
We thank God for this session, and we are learning from you as our children. Just as my sister said, we have the best interest, and especially in this country. And like most parents, we are doing it, but with a lot of fear, because we also know the pressure that you have outside, within and without, the peer pressure, the whatever that is going around you. So it's all like a mess. So you help us, we help you. So we are like, I wish they could understand, And you are saying, I wish my parents could understand. So if those wishes were horses, even beggars could ride on them. So now you who at least have that knowledge of Christ, and we have that opportunity to tell you how we love you and how we wish your tomorrow to be bright. Just the way our dear sister and our daughter Joy was saying about the stages of life, that when I come to 75, 76, and I have really served God, I've lived for God, but I don't have children behind me because they say church is for mom, church is for dad. How do we help you and you help us? It may be a hard question, but that is honestly what parents are going through. Thank you.
I want to answer the question because I want to take the time to say, my mom's right there.
Oh my God.
Right there. And I was going to say that something my mom did really well is that she was raised strictly Catholic. She went to a Catholic school. Her mother was a teacher there. So she had a lot of things about her childhood that were kind of forced down her throat as far as religion. So when it came to me, she was very transparent about not only her experience, but, I thought my mic was on. Not only her experience, but the fact that she wanted me to find God for myself. So she allowed me the space not only to learn, to ask questions, but to truly grow without feeling like I had to fit in some type of box as far as like exactly what she believed. And I think that's the most effective way, not to like let them, obviously leave your presence and continue to sin, but to give them the knowledge that you have without forcing it upon them. Does anyone have any answers? No? Okay, Joy has a question.
I would say that no matter like what you do, nothing is really determined in like how your child will turn out, but like it's just between them and God. So you can do all the gentle parenting that you need to do or want to do, have the conversations, but at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is just prayer.
I was told to answer this question for the sake of context for a later, the part 2 of this discussion. So in the effort of being completely transparent, but also to give perspective as to the world that is going on today. For those who are comfortable giving the answer to this question, when was the first time that you were introduced to, I think is what I put, introduced to pornographic films or images?
I would say the first time I was introduced to pornographic film was in middle school. Definitely middle school.
I would say the same thing for me as well, but good context behind it. But it was like a big trend for like kids to tell you like, oh my God, look this up, and then you look it up and you're like, oh,
I would say for me would be elementary school, like 5th grade, going to middle school.
See, the problem is why I'm so hesitant to these sorts of questions. I'm African. I have a sense of self-preservation. I don't want to die. It was when we came to America. We don't mess around with that. Why? Because the teachers are saying you will get beaten over every little thing. So, God forbid somebody tries to pull nonsense at school. Oh, it's not a good day for you. Not a good day. So, it was like maybe middle school. Actually, middle school, yeah. I would say around class 7, grade 7. And it's not like I found it out on my own. It's usually like classmates will come over and tell you like, Oh, did you know this and that? You know this and that? You know, I searched your this and that. You should probably go look that up. Now, I'll say that now. I didn't search it up. I was told.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact age I was, but it was around that elementary, middle school time, because that's when technology was really booming, I'm not gonna lie. So it was just so easy to literally like look anything up and find it. And I will say that if you think technology for us was something, the generations coming now, it's way faster. So it might not even be them searching for it. They could see it in passing, trying to look up something else, their ads and whatnot. It's very easy for that type of media to infiltrate their feed or just come up on whatever their friends are looking at.
Yeah, Philip.
All right, so I feel like I feel like my dad did do a really good job like teaching me like about like sex education, but like going deep into it and like going into specifics of like why why it's important to save yourself, or like how to like come across even like pornographic things, or like just like the basics, like like I don't know how to answer this question, but like just like proper sex education, like having a proper talk about it, and being more transparent on how what sex is.
I would say for me, relationships, whether it's like dating or friendships, because I do believe like our parents are the ones who are supposed to teach us how to love or what it means to be loved. And when you don't have that or don't understand that, or you confuse care and love or kindness and love, which is they're all a part of love, but they're not what love is. You go out in the world and you sacrifice yourself for friendships or like relationships, and you don't understand yourself. So I would definitely say that.
For me, I think I would say like just like being more open about like your past, or like the past in general, like hardships, relationships, everything that you've gone through, because we can learn from that, so we don't end up making, if you made mistakes, the same mistakes.
Well, I would say it's more of like future experiences. What they should do is like have like the kid, if like somebody's going into college or high school, like just sit them out, you parent, whatever it is. You just go and talk to them, prepare them for the future. Just tell them this is how life is gonna be. Once you leave, you gotta do this. You can't always depend on this and that. You just gotta have like a talk with them, prepare them for the future. Talk about how you started and how we're supposed to go or improve on that, not to make the same mistakes that they did. I'm not saying they did make mistakes. I'm just trying to avoid the potential mistakes that could come about with anything that you're gonna do in the future.
That's good. Honestly, the same thing, relationships. I feel like we should have better understanding of that when we're younger. Because I think some of the things that, like the relationships you may have with your spouse or like with your siblings, you think that children don't pick up on it, but we do. And something that I've had, like personally, my siblings, is like trying to understand how we should love each other and appreciate each other when our parents may have had like estranged relationships with themselves or their families. Like the little things that you don't think that we'd be listening to, that we pick up on, the energies, the passive aggressiveness, like we see all of that. And we might not talk to you about it because, sometimes we talk and then you get mad because we ask about something that you don't want to talk about. And you beat us. And you wonder why we don't ask no questions. But in that aspect, just being open about what's going on. You don't have to like obviously give all your business, but just so that we're not trying to fill in the dots for ourselves.
And great presentation, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. What is your name, darling?
Sabra. Is it on?
Sabra. Sabra. There's something that you said about you wish that parents would be more transparent and more open with telling you guys about relationships and love, and how to be able to maneuver outside. What you guys need to understand is that we as parents, even at our ages, I'm 48, we're still finding our way in that. Some of us were not blessed to have long-standing relationships or marriages, and so we are still out there. That's something that you can be guided about. Your mom can guide you. Your dad can guide you. They can protect you. They can see through what's going to happen. They can tell you who is a wolf and who's a sheep. We can tell you how to look for the signs, but there are no guarantees that that sheep that you think you found is not a wolf. And believe me, there could be a sheep today and turn into a wolf tomorrow. So basically what am I saying? What I'm saying to you is that when it comes to that aspect, like our parents say back home, everybody has to go through that experience to learn it for themselves. So it's not like your mom doesn't want to show you the signs, but she herself is still looking for the signs. She knows. I'm open and transparent with her, so she knows. That's life for you. That's a stage you will go through. You have to get to where you have to be able to read people for yourself. You have to be able to know that what you see and you think to yourself, you always tell yourself that, look, I don't think so. It can't be. Most times it is. That's who they are. They show you who they are. That's who they are. Take that and run with it. And then the other thing I was going to say was concerning everybody is saying that they wish that their parents would give them a space for them to be able to communicate. Everybody wants that safe space. Everybody wants to be able to effectively communicate with their parents. Now, what I'm going to say as an African, and also being raised by two strong African parents, what you guys have to understand is that we come from a generation where a lot of parents look at the volume of your tune, how you talk to them. If it's high, they consider it disrespectful. It's not that they don't want to give you that space, but once temperaments get heated, once you guys, get into that place where everybody's in their feelings and you start to raise your voice, they shut it down because that's how we were raised. It's not intentional. It's not like, oh, they don't love you. It's not like they don't want to give you that space. So you guys also have to understand, in as much as we want you to be expressive, we want you to come to us with whatever it is that you have, we also want you to be mindful of the generational gap. Be mindful of the fact that these are two generations merging. Some of you were lucky to be raised partially in Africa, and then some of you were not, like her. She's not. Her brother was. So he got a lot that she didn't get. She's never been whooped. She got it coming, but she has never had a whooping. Come on her, never. Yeah, well, please. She ain't had no whooping. But anyway, what I'm saying is that, so you two have to give your parents some grace and understand that they want this. They don't want to be at loggerheads with you. They don't want for you guys to be running to other people to talk to. But be mindful as you engage into these conversations with your parents. And if you want to keep that window open, just be mindful of that space. Respect that space. Don't be like that, yo, man, we don't do that. That's not where we come from. So I believe that once we have that understanding that we're bridging two generations and we're trying to educate them, it seems to me that they are open-minded and they want that space. You understand? But we don't all have the same privilege and the same upbringing to be able to create that space as easily. So help them so that you guys can work on that space together. Okay?
We have one last question over there, but we might, he's going to be the last question because we do need to move to our Q&A to you guys. Yeah. All right?
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for this open session. I'm just going to ask you a very simple question based off your generation and the risk that is facing this very generation. So we are living in a generation that is faced with a challenge of drug abuse and behavioral issues. So I just want to know from you guys, are you facing these challenges of drug abuse or have you come through any? And how strong are you to withstand and say no and to choose the right path from the temptations of drug abuse and addiction?
I guess I'll go first. Me personally, it's a no. I don't. I mean, I don't really, like at all. I don't struggle with drug abuse. I was never really tempted to take it because like I don't know if it's because both of my parents are from like the health field. Like, oh, this is bad. You can't do this. So, to me, it was like I wouldn't take something that would like affect my health. You know, I like to run and do exercise and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's not really. It wouldn't really tempt me. So I wouldn't really get tempted by it. But like I understand how other people can get tempted by it because you may fall into unfortunately, like some people get depressed or something, and you feel like, you know, this makes me, it alleviates the pain or this feeling. So that's how that cycle begins. But me personally, it's not.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like I can speak for most of us that it's not even a thought that we really be having anymore. Because the people, at least I feel like the people who tend to take drugs at our age just aren't cool. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's a personal problem that they have, but it just never gave attractive, it never gave, oh, that's something I want to do. Because they're all like, you know, failing their classes, they don't have a job, they just sit at home. So I would say that something that I feel like separates us from those people is well, I mean, we do know our parents going to deal with us when we get home. I feel like my purpose is too important to be wasting it on something like that. I see people who easily like just give their lives away or like they waste their time. And I just know, my parents aren't from here. They started from the ground up. They moved here to give me the opportunity. Like, I don't have time to be, you know, what's the word? Gallivanting? Yeah, whatever that is. I don't have time to be lollygagging or whatever. But also, like, having a purpose that you know is rooted in God, it makes everything so much easier. Like, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I be in school, I be doing that time, and I'm like, man, all my friends are outside right now, having fun. But knowing that you are destined for something greater makes it a lot easier.
Wait, I got a question for you. Specifically, were you asking like what our experiences are with drugs, or were you asking like how to avoid drugs?
We are facing children who are studying in high schools and colleges. You find kids who are getting tempted to abuse stuff like weed, alcohol, and they start slowly. They get influenced by friends, and it's a scar that is spreading in colleges and high schools. And I just wanted to know how strong you guys are to say no, or like have you come across that kind of influence in
Very
social
strong.
colleges?
Very strong. Very strong. I would say yeah, I guess. So you know, personally, I can speak for myself. I've always been rooted in Christ. You know, as a Christian, first, I'll say I'm a man of God, so I don't really like look that way. Second, I would say I really know myself. I know like I really have like an addictive personality. So if I were to ever get into that field of I want to start drugs or I want to do this or that, it'd ruin my life. Personally, like it'd be like I'd be like a homeless person living on the streets. So I would say like. Yeah, it's been a very strong no.
Since I go to like a super PWI, like when it comes to like drug abuse, it's crazy. Like we get emails like after weekends of like, hey, you guys went crazy last weekend. Let's do better this weekend. But there's a lot of reasons as to why people abuse it, and I feel like having open conversations about, you know, how much you should take or what you shouldn't take is important, which my school does do, but I think a lot of it does like start at home and like our environment. So, you know, kids who didn't really, you know, have the freedom at home to do certain things, even just like little things, not like drugs. Like once they get to like college, they're like, wow, this freedom, and they go crazy because of like the pressure. So I would definitely say like values, like whatever, you know, your parents instill in you, like you have a purpose, but don't like force that on them. So for me, I would definitely say it's like just self-value is the reason why I wouldn't like go ahead and like do hardcore drugs, but it's hard. There's a lot of very different reasons, because there's like rich kids who have the opportunity to, you know, speak to their parents. They're like, that's therapy. They know the cost of drugs. We go to a school that literally speaks about like drug abuse almost every single day. We have like a wellness center, but they still do. So I would definitely say, like, religiously, it's not knowing who you are.
And schools really go, like in elementary school, they go really deep into drugs. So we've been taught about drug abuse since a young age.
Oh, okay. So we're going to go into our questions for you guys now, for the sake of time. Why do Africans not start on time?
They never do. They just like, alright, so for me, let me say this. I'm coming from common ground, right? I've had experiences both in Kenya and here, and I'll just tell you this, it does not change. Africans are Africans depending on, it doesn't matter where they are. Like, you will have to remind Africans 2 hours early before a party's even started.
Like, are y'all still on Kenyan time? Is that what it is?
No, I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. But, so we just had a question. Any one of you could answer. Why is it that whatever, you know, not even a party, just any event, why does it always start late? You have food being brought in at 2 o'clock, people are coming in at 4. Hey, like, it was just a question the group had in, you know. So we just want just one quick answer, one person would like to answer.
Birthday.
Just one answer.
Okay, it's not my fault. I didn't see it.
My answer will be short and sweet, but this is coming from me. You know, I was born in Kenya, came here when I was young, grew up in Delaware, so I've seen how people keep time in America. People are very on time. We're conscious of other people's time and, you know, stuff like that. But then I've gone to Kenya and seen how things are not so hustle bustle. You have to be here at this time because people have so many things to do in one day. Back in Africa, things are slow. Like, you can plan to do something and it will take you the whole entire day, just because people are just laid back and relaxed. So I think it's just the fact that back in Africa, people are used to just taking their time with things, and they're kind of like behind on technology and stuff. As of in America, technology has made everything like quicker. So when it comes to us, or I guess Africans trying to get to places on time, they're like, oh, it's okay. People are not, they think of other people too, like, oh, it's an African event. We're not going to really rush to go there because we know everybody's not going to get there until 2 hours later. So that too. But I think that has something to do with that.
Thank you. Next question, Joy. I'm sorry.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
I think Africans, it is not true that we are late for everything. In this country, I can tell you, any African person gets to the job first before everybody. So I believe it's how we value things. If you value something, it has nothing to do with Africa, wherever you are going to be there on time.
I'm also say something. I have never, ever, in any church I've been to, gone to church late. I've always been there fast. And with Victor, that's how he has learned it. We are always on time. He has grown up and he knows you have to be at church at a particular time. When you don't value anything, as Mother said, you don't put your energy into it. Because if it is important to you, you'll do it. When you go to work, you know you'll punch in at the right time, punch out at the right time. But you don't punch in church at the right time and punch out at the right time. It is bad before God.
So it's you know what this speaker is saying. This is that's what they are saying without saying it. So it's something they are telling us to work on it. Thank you. So I just want to give you, it has nothing to do with Africa, but yet there's an historical inclination to it. And the historical inclination is in Africa, we did not have time, we did not know time as 7 to 8. That's not how time was known in Africa. In Africa, time was known as by an event.
Yes.
All right, it's an event. So if it's a wedding, it's a whole day. That's all. Yes. It's a whole day. Whatever you did is a whole day. So there was no hurry to starting at 8. And somehow it was built into the bloodline. But it's something we must break because it has no limitations. There are communities you will never, ever able to reach to if you maintain that mentality. There are people you never reach to. There are people you never minister to with that mentality. There are people you never associate with that African mentality. We tend to protect it, but it has no place even in the Bible. It has no place. It has no place. God is God of time. He honors time. Time is the first thing He created. So thank you for challenging us. We have to work on it. God bless you.
We're trying to limit the amount of people so we can get more questions because there's a lot of y'all, and we want to hear as many people as we can. So we're gonna try to go the next one out. If that's okay. I don't want to cut anybody off if they want to talk on that one. Okay, thank you. All right. You're taking time.
Okay. Anyway, I've been nominated to ask, why is it that African parents let their sons have hair on their head? Hold on. Not have sons let have hair on their head, but girls are allowed to.
So this is specifically for the people who don't allow their sons to grow out their hair. Why?
Hey man, my friends keep
I mean, if it's a genuine, okay.
Again, we come back to what Pastor said. Most of the parents who are here, they come from another world, whereby hair was made for the other unit, and the men were meant to keep hair down. And the unit, I mean, female. But things have changed. And this, as Pastor said earlier, that time in Africa is seen a different way. We say morning, afternoon, evening. If we say let's meet in the morning, we are meeting between 7, 8, 9, up to 11. When you come, those hours, you're good. Good. That's culture, and you're trying to fight and run away from that. About the hair and the way we expect or we intend to see our sons and our girls to look like, we have that picture as we were growing up to see a girl should be looking like this and a boy should be looking like this. So we are in that cocoon trying to picture out what a son look like and what a daughter look like. But we also agree that there's culture shock. We are in America, we are in a different century, we are in a different environment. We understand how, the dynamics and things have changed. So when we are not so much into it, to understand where we come from.
Thank you.
Next
question.
All right. Okay, I'll So why is it hard for us, parents and youth, to have a healthy conversation around sex and sexuality? Anyone would like to answer that with honesty, of course. Why is it hard? Someone repeat.
we are still evolving around culture. And that's where we are going round. That there are two different worlds, like America and back like Kenya, two different worlds. Like when we grew up, how we grew up, this was like a secret. It was like something that could not be talked about. And I think we are still there. Like, I have a son. I respect him, so I cannot talk to him about that. And he will learn from somewhere else, maybe in the wrong way. Oh, yeah. So I'm still praying that God help us to come out of the culture and help our children. We are still searching, and I believe that God will help us. And we keep like instead of talking like we are praying, oh God, help my son, oh God, help my daughter. But those prayers before they reach, you should know something. So you learn it from somewhere else. So still, parents, let's wake up. We are in a different world. We came here, our children are confused. They are hearing it. The people who are born in this country, they talk about it like nothing. I mean, it's nothing. They just talk about it. So I hope my son will be helped as I continue to learn.
Praise the Lord. Amen. I think the Bible says we perish because of lack of knowledge. It's hard to sit and talk about it, but we can make it easy. We have to have the knowledge to understand that when God created a human being, every part is good. So once we understand that, we should be able to talk about each part of the body and educate our children so they won't perish. We have to have the knowledge of understanding everything created was good. A human being, every part is good, and we should be able to not to be shy to discuss any part of the body. As a result, I think it will help both the parent and the child, because if I don't teach you exactly the right thing, we are going to perish, and I will also won't feel good. I will regret why I didn't talk about it. Praise the Lord. Amen.
You want to say something?
Mr. Makobe wants to say something, but let me also say, by the grace of God, it's because of maybe my teaching, my background. I've done counseling for many years, and I know what the parents are saying is true. We have to be intentional. We have to be intentional about it. My kids will tell you. We talk about everything. I'm not shy to talk to them about anything because I know they should learn from me, because I'm the right source of the information. So it's something we have to keep breaking as we move on. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if we have girls and boys, and we have both parents, I think maybe mothers should sit with their daughters and talk about it, and fathers should sit with their sons and talk about it. But if the parents are single, you can also just talk about it. We shouldn't fear, because these are our children, and we want to lead them in the right way. So that's what I have.
I think I'll answer the why question. Why is it hard for parents to discuss? Culture is the programming of the mind that keep the people is different from the other. So your parents were programmed in an environment where, although they could not talk to their children, they had aunties and grandparents to talk to. Unfortunately, they moved away from that structure and came here and wanted to maintain the same thing. So now you are left without that auntie, that auntie, that uncle to talk to you, or cousin. But then they are still afraid to talk about it because it was taboo to them. So if you understand that, you can be sympathetic, but then press so that you can be able to get the information you need.
But now the system is this year.
Yes. Okay.
This year.
Yes, I know.
The uncles.
Oh yes. Oh, yeah. These. Oh, okay. Yeah. These are.
These are now the uncles. Now you should not be afraid of going to any of this. You
Yes.
cannot be comfortable with your dad, your mom.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what God has provided for you. Look at what God has provided for you.
Alright, let's look at the last response to this question because it's 1 o'clock now. We want to make sure you guys can get out for see the new land. But we will ask one more question after this.
Yes, bless the Lord.
Amen.
I don't think, I'll just add to it. If you're asked to enter your church, parents, they will say, except my sister here, they will say we talk about it. I think talking about it is not the problem. It is what we say and how we deliver it. So as parents, we need to look at how the penis is not called a kettle or a teapot. Understand?
The children are in the room now.
I would have an issue if, say, because kids are funny. My daughter would want to say something about it, but choose to say it to Sister Judy. Sister Judy, say the name. Say what it is. It is not when you're ready to fellowship with a brother or when you're ready to fellowship with your husband. Say the name so that they can understand. And that is my say to it.
Thank you. Alright, so we're going to go to the next question now, but I did want to say because this is important. Just because I do respect your opinions, obviously, I do want to say that. I respect your opinions, I respect the generational difference, but I'm telling you now, if you guys do not tell your children about these things, someone else will.
Right. Yes.
Personally, from experience, I've been blessed to have these conversations, but there are people our age, I'm trying to be as PG as possible, who are learning about these things. They're finding out ways to figure it out by themselves, whether or not they're pleasuring themselves or pleasuring other people. And they're telling these things to your children, whether you like it or not. They don't have to be bad people. They're just curious the same way your children are curious. And I would hate for them to learn from a friend who's misguided or from a family member who wants to take advantage of them. So we're saying these things now because we want you to remember, not because we expect you guys to have all the answers, but if you don't, someone else will.
All right, one thing. If you don't talk about it, or if you're not open to provide resources for that, because I get it, it's hard to talk about it, but it will literally create like a bad relationship for them in the future with their partners or with themselves, where they're unable to really express themselves, or they can be taken advantage of because you don't talk about it. If you don't talk about sex and sexuality, when they go out in the world, someone's like, oh, but it's sex, it's nothing. They're like, okay, I'll do it. Or sexuality, like just try it out because you don't talk about it and you're not an example.
Thank you for your responses. One more question.
Thank you all so much again for coming, for being honest, for asking questions. For those who don't know, multiple youth from a lot of different places submitted more than 40 different questions to ask you today. We have only gone through not even 2 or 3 of them. Already I can tell you how much is already in the hearts of people to ask. Now, due to respecting of time, this means we'll have another Youth Sunday very, very soon. And then we'll go just straight all the way down. Everyone give a conclusion statement for yourself and so forth, just on any of the topics that we've discussed so far, or a different one, but a conclusionary statement. And then right after that, we will transition to something else. Everyone gets to go.
Okay. Anyways, I was just gonna say, honestly, maybe it's because my mom is here. I'm gonna keep saying it because I love her. I felt a little uncomfortable the last time we had this conversation because I definitely feel like it was Victor and Philip against the world. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot of questions that were going down. But I feel like today, at least, if it goes to like comfort you any much, this conversation was very beneficial to me. It felt very comfortable. I feel like both ways. I'm not sure I can speak for everybody, but the openness is definitely there, and we appreciate that you guys are willing to listen to us.
Okay, my turn. So, me personally, I would feel like, well, it's definitely helped people, parents and youth, both understand how each perspective is on these types of matters. And all I can say is that as parents, you guys really need to like have the conversations with your children, have more meaningful conversations one-on-one or both parents with the child. Just either prepare them for the future, tell them stuff that either they should know or should have known by the time they hit, like teenager and wants to become adolescents, they should already know this or become to know it so they can be wary of like the things that could come from it, all of that stuff that could come from it. They can try to avoid it. And I guess just like a person from both ways, from America and from Kenya, I can see like where the differences come in. Like definitely Kenya has a major influence in keeping kids like straight to your point, don't get distracted. If you set on something, set your eyes on doing it, don't try and get distracted with this. So that's why like most African kids, like I'm not giving like I'm just saying like in generally, kids who have been raised in like Kenya for majority of their lives don't usually sway from stuff. They're not really that. Like peer pressure doesn't work much on them. So if you like try to like sway them to doing something bad, they'll most likely be like, no, why? Probably because of consequences from their parents, we ain't trying to get whooped. No, I'm serious. Like for me, if I give an example, the reason I'm not that easily swayed to do something like drugs is because, firstly, in Kenya, like there's that influence from like schools and other people around you. They obviously know this is bad and all that. Like even for the haircut question, we, in like the school I went to, we weren't allowed to have hair. And if you did, you get right in front of the school. So it was just kind of like culture you got in your head. But like, all right, so try to keep your hair neat and short. Don't let your hair grow out. And that's why when Kenyans come over here, you don't see them with dread. No offense, bro. I'm not saying yours. I'm not saying you two look good. I'm not saying, no. I'm talking about like hood rat type of people, I'm just saying. You don't see people doing that. If you come up to me like a Kenyan and be like, hey, you trying to try this, like if it's like schools, especially stuff like vape, I'll be like, that stuff is, especially with like both medical parents, like there was, y'all know what vape is, right? Yeah, they're not old. Okay. Alright. Either way, we won't really get swayed like that because we know this is bad. You're not supposed to do this. And God forbid my parents know you won't catch me here tomorrow. Then, the conclusion is that I can see what they're saying. Definitely culture does play a huge part of it depending on where you're from. So Kenya, like I can't really blame them. I see where they're coming from. Like I'm not saying it's right or what's wrong. I'm saying I see where they're coming from. That they've been used to that their entire life. So having to switch from that, immediately to have to switch to American standards within that short time frame is definitely going to be hard on both parties. So you can't really hold it against them. So we all, both of us, just gotta learn. Either youth or parents, we just gotta learn to do that.
I guess you said everything. Alright. But my conclusion would be I definitely understand and see your perspective and our perspective. We were raised in we were raised in two different time periods, two different generations, but I think one thing that we have to understand is that if we're not really willing to actively take what we learn from here and apply it to outside of the church. It's just a discussion that we have here, but if we don't take the time to change, nothing will really happen. And yeah, thank you for being humble, open, and transparent with us as we were to you. And I pray that we will have more meaningful conversations in the future.
For my conclusion, first I want to say thank you. I would definitely say what we're trying to say to you guys is that you all need to take a moment to like pull back from like what you were taught, how you grew up, your culture, and like evaluate it and like analyze it. Like, is this like benefiting me, or is it hurting me? Is it hurting my kids? Is it hurting my relationships and my future? Because we could blame culture for so many things. Like, I could go ahead and go to school and be like, nah, I'm not gonna do that because I'm Kenyan. I can't take that class because I'm Kenyan. But no, don't let it be an excuse. So definitely like just evaluate things. And I feel like we definitely have the resources to do so. So you can't just say that you are ignorant to certain things, especially like what we just talked about. So when you do go back home, actually like reflect on it. And we understand where you come from. So when you talk about culture, I completely get that. Like, I wouldn't go ahead and blame my mother for acting a certain type of way, or for her not to talk to me about like sex or sexuality because she didn't talk about that with her mother or anybody else. So I don't blame her for that. But it is nice if I do like bring it up to her, for her to like, okay, take a minute to like talk to me about it. But what I would say that we should do is continue to be patient with our parents, because it's easier for us to like talk about certain things because we are young and we have the resources more than they do. We're open-minded, like we're Gen Z. So our parents are not like that. So they're gonna come up to your mom and be like, hey mom, what about this? And she's gonna be like, nah, and not talk to you about it. So definitely be patient with your parents. So they're gonna try to use a lot of like, because of this, because of that. But at the end of the day, you are your own person. So if they don't talk to you about certain things, because we're old enough to understand that. So if they don't talk to you about certain things, go ahead and find it for yourself, but use the right resources. And for parents, for the kids that, the younger kids, go ahead and take what we just talked about today and like apply that. Because you don't want your kids to come up here in the next 10 years and ask you the same questions. That's annoying. You want them to ask you different questions.
Be like the Israelites.
Yeah, for me, I'll just keep mine short and sweet. So my conclusion would be, really just fostering more conversations around having a more intimate relationship with your children. And obviously, thank you all for being very honest and open and transparent. I really learned a lot. Everybody here has really learned a lot, and together we can build a strong relationship with each other and rooted in Christ, of course. And just listening with each other and building that relationship. So thank you all.